Hello and welcome to Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David and joined with me as always my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
Second take, David.
Second take, all good. Before we jump into this week's episode, just want to remind everyone that we're available on all podcasting platforms. We are available on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Podcast Addict, everywhere that you can find us, Apple Podcasts. So make sure that you're subscribed and make sure that you follow us on all our social medias. Just before we go any further, just wanted to remind people of that. New episodes every single Wednesday, as well as bonus episodes every other weekend.
Yeah, good intentions or not, like, if you haven't already, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to miss out on such hard-hitting reviews as Alien Romulus. But before we get into that, you've got a trailer of the week for us, don't you?
I do.
Brilliant.
I always do.
You're so prepared. You're so prepared. Go on. What do we got?
I've got a trailer that's not technically officially released yet.
That's cheeky. That's so cheeky. You did that for the Joker trailer, I remember, as well. You did it when, like, by the time this episode releases, the Joker trailer will be out. I'm like, okay, hope it's good. What have you got? Go on.
This is a trailer I have seen, though.
How? Okay. You're piquing my interest. Go for it, yeah.
I saw the leaked version trailer of Thunderbolts.
Okay. I have not seen the leaked trailer version of Thunderbolts. I don't like watching any of those leaked trailers.
I never do. This is the first time I've watched a leaked trailer for which I can remember, and I will remember. And I guess I was just bored. I knew it was out there, among other stuff like the Daredevil one and a few behind the scenes of the Fantastic Four. So I thought, I'll just watch it. And I was able to find something, poor quality from an iPhone, but definitely a trailer. As if they have it ready in the bank. They'll release it towards the end of this year, I'd imagine. And looks good.
I can't say. I haven't seen it.
Well, you know, the Thunderbolts, it's definitely another ragtag ensemble. I'm sure there'll be another outing in that sort from Marvel. They did the Guardians of the Galaxy, and now they've had their Eternals. So there's another one. This is also their Marvel equivalent to the Suicide Squad over DC. You know, a bunch of bad guys or anti-heroes coming together to do some good. That type of situation.
The difference being that with DC, it was very much just, here they all are, and we'll introduce you to all of them within the movie itself.
Yeah.
Whereas the Thunderbolts is going to be an amalgamation of a team of kind of secondary and villainous characters from previous MCU projects.
Oh, this movie is full of near forgetful villains or foes or antagonists and side characters. Really, like a real movie about a bunch of side characters coming together. I'm betting Yelena is the main character.
It seems so, yeah.
Followed by Bucky, and then either Red Guardian or US Agent. And Ghost is in it from Ant-Man.
Whoa, Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
She is probably one of the most forgetful villains.
Yes, so, but that's what I mean. You know, she was there, she was vacant for the slot, and they threw her in. Taskmaster is going to be in it. And I don't know if she was in the trailer because there were two characters with white masks.
Yeah.
One with a completely blank white mask face, another one with another completely white mask but has black eye sockets.
Okay.
So everyone assuming is that Taskmaster. But I'm thinking that's just very too similar in terms of appearances between Taskmaster and Ghost. So am I thinking, are they... Because they're getting additional suits. They're getting suit upgrades, essentially. But from what I seen in the trailer, it looks to be a 5-person team with everyone except Taskmaster. Maybe she joins it later on. And then Fontaine, I think that's her name.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character, yeah.
Yeah, that one. She's the Nick Fury or the Amanda Waller of this team. So I think this will be very interesting to watch after watching Captain America Brave New World. You know, boots on the ground, hand-to-hand combat against a foe in that of Sentry that is all too powerful. It'll be interesting to see. And it was nice to see. It didn't blow my mind. I am looking forward to it, and I do hope it gets a lot of love. And this Thunderbolts movie serves as a sequel to Black Widow, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I suppose Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is kind of funny and strange, but It's interesting, isn't it?
It is. Like, with a franchise like the MCU, where every individual movie kind of focuses on a different hero and thus a different villain.
And side characters, supporting characters.
Yeah, that because of how quickly kind of each year moves on, focusing on different actors and different stars and different characters, it can be easily forgotten. Like, you kind of look back at things and go, whatever did happen to Ghost or Taskmaster or US Agent, to kind of, or Yelena or Bucky or Red Guardian. I'm fairly sure that's kind of the roster. You have all these characters that don't really fit in anywhere else, so you can bring them all together here. It'll just be interesting. I think at this moment in time, with this recording, the 4 announced films to be released, we'll say that with an asterisk because I don't believe Blade is going to be coming out.
So Fantastic Four, Captain America 4, and
Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is my least anticipated of those 4.
So you're looking forward to Captain America 4 more than Thunderbolts?
Yes,
okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I think I would... If I took away Blade, because Blade...
You are taking away Blade. It's not going to be released at the end of next year.
There's nothing to anticipate. It's just Mahershala Ali. It's just him as Blade. That's the only thing to look forward to. So
Mia Goth is supposed to be in it.
Okay, Mahershala Ali is the only thing to look forward to then. So, I'm not really a Mia Goth fan. But Fantastic Four, Captain America, Thunderbolts.
Okay. Well, it's just, I wonder if when they release the trailer, I wonder if it'll be the same one.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to look back on. I'd be more looking forward to the new Daredevil series than I would Thunderbolts.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fair. Come on, David. Let's not dilly-dally.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's move on.
So enough of the MCU. Let's move on to a different franchise, that being Alien Romulus. So before we get into this, just once again, want to say heavy spoilers for Alien Romulus, as well as spoilers for, I assume, other Alien films, the Alien franchise.
Dealer's choice.
Yeah, listen. We have done a few episodes where we have discussed Aliens. Aliens being a sequel better than the original, one of your favourite films. So I would assume that you would hold the Alien franchise close to your chest. Is that a fair assumption, or is it just Aliens?
I would hold the iconography represented in the first 2 movies. Mm-hmm. And then I can acknowledge some, they could be guilty pleasures. I could watch them and know this is at a far lower standard than what has already been established. Mm-hmm. So I guess when this movie was originally announced, before maybe even casting, or maybe when I first saw the cast and maybe if I first saw the name of the director, I didn't hold it in high regard. Because even the last few Alien-based movies with Prometheus and Alien Covenant, high hopes, poor or lower than the high standard execution. As we got closer, especially towards the end of last year, I started to hold it in such a high regard and having huge expectations. When would often say this movie, which has just been released, is the best since the original, or it's the best since the last. They could say Terminator Dark Fate is the best Terminator movie since Terminator 2. I'm not saying that's your opinion or mine. That's just an example.
I get you, yeah.
Right. Well, Fede Alvarez is the best thing to happen to the Alien franchise since James Cameron. Remember that bonus episode we just released?
Oh, with favourite directors?
Yeah.
The one that came out literally just this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to put Fede Alvarez in there? Who you subbing out? Who you taking out?
I'm not subbing out anyone. I'm just saying...
4th pick.
Fede Alvarez has done Don't Breed. He's done The Evil Dead. And now he's done this. I shouldn't get ahead of myself, but I said this twice when I was watching the movie. This guy has got to do a new take on The Thing.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout. That's a really good shout.
If he doesn't, I'm still going to look forward to what he's doing next. This movie rocks.
This movie rocks.
I'm telling you, David, my jaw dropped 5 times, maybe 6. I loved it.
That's good. I'm glad. I was afraid that you weren't, because especially when I had asked you, I texted you and say, "Hey, just want to confirm times for this." You went, "Yeah, I'm just still deciding what I think about it." I'm like, "Oh, did he not like it?" But I'm delighted to hear that you said that. I concur. I agree. I thought this was great. I think that I quite like actually Prometheus and Alien Covenant,
and I would often find myself watching them because I can enjoy all types of movies, not just genre based, but also quality type. I don't need to sit down and watch an Oppenheimer and exclude myself from the likes of any of the guilty pleasures I mentioned in one of our bonuses. Do you know what I mean? We can like all movies.
So I can't say that it's the best since the original or the best since Aliens, because I do quite like actually Alien Covenant. But I'm glad that this is an entry into the franchise that can stand shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Alien and Aliens and Covenant.
It can fit right in perfectly within a trilogy, or as a standalone, or in another trilogy if you want. This movie executed its story and its vibe exceptionally well, that some minor nitpicks or things that I might not normally prefer or like, it just dissolves it. It's like, I'm not the storyteller. And yeah, this is 100% recency bias, and I might change my mind later, but yeah, 5 stars.
I think that sounds like recency bias. I don't want to tell you how you feel about the movie, but I think that.
But how can I not rate my experience 5 stars?
Yeah, that's true. It's
like
all about
my experience.
Yeah, because you can watch a film on one day and you can hate it, and then watch it a week later and you go, "Oh no, actually, I love it." It's all about the circumstances of which you watch it.
Yeah, that's happened to me before, and maybe I should watch it a second time, which I will. But like, the experience, David, he captured it. He did it so well. Where do I begin? I started taking notes. That's what I did. Yeah, I started taking notes. Yeah.
With this, it goes back to, just before you get into notes, it goes back to those roots where Alien, and I think one of the reasons why Aliens is such a good sequel is that it goes from the horror genre into the action genre.
Yeah.
And then Alien 3 and Alien 4 continue in that action genre. They don't ever really go back to the roots. Whereas Romulus goes back to those roots and it is able to really skirt that line of between the horror and the tense, suspenseful moments and then the action scenes much later in the film.
Yeah, and specifically that, because I would say 70% of this movie, 75, is all homages to the first Alien with sprinkles of the second one, Aliens, in it, especially towards the end. And I think I would prefer that. Like, my favorite is Aliens, the action one. I actually watched Alien a while ago, before this movie came out, and I wanted to watch it because I knew this was the vibe I was going for. So I wanted to watch Alien Romulus so badly. I watched the original because I knew that was the closest thing I was going to get until I was going to watch this one. And where do I go from here? Because I'm hearing a lot of comparisons from Don't Breed to this, because you got yourself in the story a bunch of essential thieves, young youths looking to make a big break for themselves, to come in to take something that's not theirs. And in the synopsis of the movie, when they come to find treasure, they come face to face with the most terrifying creature ever.
The perfect organism, as they say. It says it multiple times.
Yeah, they definitely do say that a few times. And what is the most horrifying thing ever? The xenomorph. And
I don't know. Me personally, I'd be actually more scared of a facehugger. I've always been more scared of a facehugger.
I think you can just lump it in under the same category. Oh, yeah. Where do I go? I've got 3 lanes and avenues to go from, to choose from what I want to talk about. Should I go for my notes?
You go for it. Whatever way you want to go, let's take the conversation.
Right. I knew Navarro was fucked since the first teaser.
I accidentally watched the second trailer I saw that she was the one who gets the alien.
She gets her throat scratched.
I was in the cinema and I had avoided the main trailer, and I was watching something. I went, do you know what? I'll actually watch it. And then I saw the scene where she puts the X-ray thing behind her back, and we see it moving throughout her. And I was like, oh, I wish I had known that, because I didn't know who was the first victim.
But sure, you know, when you're watching the movie and you see, she finds the little X-ray and she puts it through her arm. Mm-hmm. Did you not think she's...
Well, I knew it. Oh, I always knew it going in.
Yeah, right.
Like, I had never seen any of that. So it was... If there was one complaint I had initially, all right, and I'll say this as a tease for later on in the episode.
Yeah.
When we'll eventually get to it. I wish there had been more characters, because I wanted to see varying degrees of death for them.
Yes.
With the xenomorph.
I you know what, I see where you're coming from, because when you have such a limited number of...
It was 6.
Yeah, 6, not 7. There's 7 in Alien. There was countless in Aliens before and after they are ambushed.
Because you always know one of them has to get facehuggered, so you're immediately kind of counting one out.
Yeah,
that's a given. That's you know, we have to get to the alien.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I actually didn't think about that, but one always has to get face hugged. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out to the Eileen Wu for promoting the entire marketing aspect for the facehuggers, especially in the poster.
Yeah,
and all social media, you see just hired extras just lying on the ground with facehuggers on them.
I was looking it up, and apparently the that sequence where she gets facehuggered, and they take it off, and you know the
job's done.
The job's done. It comes out of her throat.
Oh,
that was practical. They had something fully down her throat, and it was all done in camera, and I think that's what is the scariest part to me is, and it's in the scene where the facehugger is trying to get the two guys in the room, and it jumps on his face, and you can see it kind of trying to get into his mouth. And like, that is disgusting. That's awful. I hate the idea of something invasive going into my throat.
I don't think we've ever seen a facehugger depicted as grotesque like that.
No,
like, this movie has done an elevated job backing up under what James Cameron had established in that scene in Aliens, with the two facehuggers going after. Like, you don't realise how dangerous those things are until you watch that scene. And that was in the early 80s. How long has that been now?
It's 45 years. 45 years since the original.
Right. So that's how long it's taken to have an on-screen presentation of what dangerous these facehuggers can do. So I just want to give a shout out. But yeah, I knew Navarro was, as soon as I saw her, I was like, that's your fate. So when, back to what you said about there only being 6 characters, I'm happy with that, because me wanting more is not gonna happen. And if they sparingly select the right moments for the characters to perish, then that would be good for me. There's a character who appears to have perished, but then later comes back, which sort of fills the slosh of the story. Yeah. And it feels like you've lost so many characters in one portion of the movie, in the immediate outburst and towards the end, but then it feels like they reselect them to have to pinpoint the moments where these characters die. So I just thought the story for why they were going to retrieve these pods to steal them was great, and it was even more great because they already set among themselves, we got 36 hours until this space station impacts with the, what is it impacting? The planet nearby?
No, the rings of
the rings. Yes, and that's fucking great. So not an explosion, not a self-destruct, an impact. That's something different, right? But one of the characters says, we'll be in and out in 30 minutes, don't worry. But then, you know, we as the audience know that's not the case. We need them to be facing that challenge that is just going to dangle over themselves. And so when the pod doesn't have enough juice, they need to go get that. Where do they get that? In the frozen chamber. They'll go there, and then the audience are shown on the monitor the facehugger display.
I thought that the task of going to go get the fuel for the cryogenic sleep, it was a much more organic way, and it was like less. Do you know when you're watching a movie and you kind of, do you know that stereotype of, oh, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there?
Yeah.
And you always kind of get that when you see like the alien egg, when it opens up and you're like, don't look into it, what are you doing? Like, that's so stupid. So having it be a situation where they go into the lab, they take the fuel, and that the facehuggers are no longer cryogenically frozen, and then they fall into the water. And they are now at the mercy of them. It's better than an egg, that they find an egg.
Yes. I was actually thinking about that, because yes, there was no eggs in this, because we as the audience, we're done with them.
We know the story.
Yeah. So what do you do? Well, when they're distracted and one the guy has his hand frozen, and then they're locked in the room, and then to the audience you're shown an entire wall full of facehuggers frozen, and they start moving. Yeah, that was one of my jaws dropped. Because even though I know what these things are, it's ingrained in my knowledge. It's the tension set up, because the characters have no clue. And you know how dangerous these things are, and just swimming in the water, like they start falling through, and they're in the situation.
I don't know if we've ever seen them swim before. Like, you really don't feel safe with them.
I feel like they're fucking huge as well.
They are. They go around your whole face, because we know as an audience, as soon as that's on you, you're done.
Oh yeah,
you're gone.
Oh, it's not coming off.
No,
because immediately it starts wrapping around. They've established that in many previous movies.
Oh, from the first one, yeah. Like this, it will not come off until it's done, and then you're lured into that false sense of security where, oh no, it's okay, just let me go.
Yeah.
But then you're just, it's a countdown.
But you know what I do like is that rather than letting it play out as it traditionally has done. The director, Fede Alvarez, does something different. They freeze the tail to remove it, because great, let's see something else, and they freeze it away, and they freeze it down the hole that the blood acid came from. The original xenomorph. So just want to track back to the opening scene when my first jaw drop happened,
when you saw the Nostromo.
The Nostromo. And then Weyland Yutani had retrieved the original alien because it never died. Fede Alvarez was the first one there in that race to retrieve that opportunity to, whatever happened to that alien? Technically it never died. Just, we assume it all died because it shoots out to space. No, just cocooned and frozen.
And that makes sense when you kind of describe it as the perfect organism. Then when later on, when Rook is telling us, like, it didn't need food, it didn't need air, it didn't need anything, it just cocooned itself.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I can see that. That makes sense.
Yes. And you know what he does next, Fede Alvarez? He doesn't make that alien.
The alien. No.
Of the movie. No. That's what initiated the setting on the spaceship, and great, but you get to see the corpse of it just above when the characters are, what happened here, and he looks up, Rook, and that's what you see, and that's it took the entire crew that retrieved the alien, and the way he revealed it as well, like.
I'd be interested to go back and see if you can see it in the background of any shots, because I genuinely hadn't noticed it until, like you said, he kind of looks up and there it is dangling from the ceiling, and you're like, has that been there the entire time and no one's noticed it?
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see if that's visible from earlier scenes.
And, when after the scene where the Navarro is being face hugged and they just escape the intense sequence of the Facehuggers. We seen that in the trailer, in the original teaser, where they're constantly jumping. Like, I like how Fede directed the characters out of the room, and you pan over, and all their fucking fingers are still sticking through the door, and they break through, and then they're all jumping, and just the last one at the last second just nailed it at Navarro, who's always the one furthest away, and she got it. And then, so, by the way, one of the characters, a robot. Did you know that? Did you know that going in, that there was a...
No, well, I always assume there's going to be a robot, because that's kind of part and parcel with the aliens, that it's not just aliens, it's
there has to be a character robot there, and so I liked how, while he was being upgraded, when he finished his upgrade, of his new disc, into him, he saved, what's the main guy's name?
I can't think of his name, but I know he catches it.
He catches it just at the right moment, saving his life. I liked the way he directed the camera with that, and that guy's name was Tyler. Yeah, Andy saved Tyler in such a cool way. I mean this in an honest way of how it honestly represents the autism community. I believe that Andy is a strong surrogate representing the autism community in this movie. And yes, he's a robot, but he's a damaged robot. He's slow, his eyes are squinted, he's
socially awkward, he doesn't quite pick up on everything.
And he's not aggressive, you know, so I thought that's great. And then when he's upgraded, he's full of knowledge. He's now become the wise one, yet still limited. I like that. Like, it's one of the best uses of a robot character in an alien movie. One of the top ones. I love them so much. He's, you know, not to rank them, but like, you know, I can't say he's not. Everyone loves Bishop, and everyone likes to say that David from Michael Fassbender from the Prometheus one and Covenant is great, but he's easily the third best.
What I really liked about him is he gets to play both. He gets to play a version of Bishop, and he gets to play a version of David or Ash or Rook. You know, once he gets the disc, he's completely different. Yeah, and his prime directive is changed.
But he's not. You know, he's got a new directive to serve the best interest of the company, but he doesn't actively put the characters in a position to have them get a face hugged.
Yeah, in the same way that David was in Prometheus, he was actively exploring it and actively testing it. Yeah, it's more so, I suppose, Ash and Bishop. He's kind of he gets to play the line between the two, because he gets to start out as the nice character that
the Bishop
version. He's not harming anyone. Like, there's that scene where. But you get to see that he kind of nearly has it in him, because you know that scene where your man is messing with him.
Yeah, Bjorn. Like, he's teasing him all the way through. He's bullying him. And you understand why he's bullying him, because a robot made a decision on his mother's death.
Yeah, and he grabs him, and your man immediately folds. He's like, I'm sorry, I was only messing him. Yeah. But then he's like, oh no, you were going to fall in the hole. Like, even though it was an aggressive grab. Yeah. So you kind of see, even though he is damaged, he still has this in him. Yeah. He's still something to be feared. Not even feared, but something he's capable of more. Yeah. So when he gets that upgrade, you're like, oh yeah, no, I can see that he's fully capable of this. But I'm glad he got to then go back to his original kind of programming, and Callie Spaney's character as well, that she was able to... Rain, yeah, that she changed his directive as well. That, you know, he was living his life for her. Yes. And he says that, he's like, oh, my prime directive is do what's best for Rain. But then she changes, like, no, let's do what's best for us. I really like that.
I think he's always had a conflict with him throughout the movie, because after Bjorn takes Navarro to the ship, and they leave Rain, Tyler there, Andy goes after him. And after just saying to Rain, his sister essentially, I've always wanted to do what's best for you. I'm going to do that now. But while the directive of serving,
he hasn't quite gotten.
No, but it's feeding in. Yeah. Like, if he didn't have that new disc in him, he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, no, he would have hesitated. But now he, like, even says it with the disc. He's like, I'm being upgraded. Like,
it's slowly feeding.
So in. I'm smarter. I'm being upgraded. It's fixing my problems. And then he just takes off and he goes. And you're right. He wouldn't have done that. He would have hesitated. He would have been like, he wouldn't know what to do, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we got to see him play both,
And
because
like take charge in some action, in some decisions. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Rook.
yeah,
Another jaw drop. And my jaw dropped just after thinking, wow, Fede Alvarez is paying a lot of homage because he's having a robot completely ripped in half. He just has the upper body, and they're placing him on a desk, and they're going to make him turn on, they're going to start talking. Real callback to the first Alien. And then we saw his face.
What did you think about this?
Okay. When it was a close-up on his face, that's not on a monitor. Yes, okay, you can see poor quality of de-aging on the likeness of the late, great Ian Holm. Because it's established that some robots in the alien world can look the exact same as one another. Because they're the same models.
That's how I assumed it. In the same way that Arnold Schwarzenegger can be multiple different Terminators. He's just that model version.
But David and Walter.
That David and Walter,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
David and Walter, Michael Fassbender played two versions of two different models. One's actually an improved model. American. An American accent over a British accent. So that's why it was completely understandable to have Ash return. Yeah, it's Rook. It's a different model. But, you know, he has the same directive, and he would have done the exact same thing as Ash. And it's modelled after Ian Holm, and Ian Holm passed away in 2020. And I really wish now he didn't, because he could have actually been there to play Ash. And and before you give your input there, I thought to myself, you know, couldn't they have just gotten a different actor, maybe of certain significance, who could have pulled it off? And I said, yeah, they could have, but I preferred this.
Okay.
I preferred choosing not Bishop, no, because of the character that Rook serves in this story. Ian Holm. And I said when they were on a close-up shot of him, you can see the the poor quality CGI. Look at us fucking bitching about visual effects.
We couldn't do it, yeah.
But on a wide shot, dude, I thought the fucking effects were great.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant. I thought it's like he was actually there. And then he's on a monitor screen for some portions of the movie. On an analog looking computer, and I thought that looks great. It's like he's there, and the guy playing him so well. It's nearly as if Ian Holm was there on set.
What I'll play counterpoint to you. I didn't think that the CGI looked bad because of the situation we were in. What as soon as I saw it look kind of a bit wonky, I thought, well, this is a robot that's been ripped in half. I would assume that there would be some kind of like malfunctions or something like that. If they'd maybe played into that, like of how like having his head twitch or something like that, it would have been hidden. So the CGI being a little bit shaky didn't bother me. What bothered me, well, not bothered me, but it's the fact that Ian Holm has passed away. That it's an AI regeneration of his voice and de-aging technology. Like, it felt like the only reason to have him back is that callback to the first film. And so because he has passed away, it did just feel like it was nostalgia bait for me anyway. Now, I think that the same role could have been serviced by Michael Fassbender. He could have fit into that in still in Rook, and it's just that model, you know, and at least that way it connects throughout. It connects the Prometheus and the Alien Covenant films to Alien and Aliens.
It would have just been a more further impact to establish that connection. Yeah, I see what you're coming from. I still preferred this, and I do not believe that they got his likeness and his image of Ian Holm without the permission.
I'm sure, absolutely,
of those who are the ones to grant it, his estate, his family,
completely. Yeah,
there's no way they'd be suing.
You couldn't do that. No, it has to be obviously permission given.
Yeah.
However, I didn't think that just because he had passed away, if he had filmed this before he had passed away,
Yeah.
completely different story. You know, his last role, whatever.
Yeah.
But because he's passed away and then he's regenerated after the fact, if it was me, I'd go to make the film and, he's passed away. Okay, we get someone else then. We do something else. We don't do that. Because it just felt like it's one step in the nostalgia journey that we didn't need. The other things, you know, other things service that without it being Ian Holm.
I see what you're coming from.
But you still liked it.
I think because this movie is going to be mostly compared to the original, I think it hits home more that it's a same model as Ash. Because if it was Michael Fassbender, like the actor, and yes, he was probably the best example I could say of an actor of significance, and then also connection to the franchise. However, I felt like if it was Michael Fassbender, I'm sure my jaw would have dropped and I would have liked it. But I think the baggage and the things that I don't like from Prometheus would have been brought forward. Yes, it would have been brought there. But because it's of Ian Holm, it punched me, but I liked it.
Yeah,
and I think I would have agreed. I would have felt the same if it was the same actor who played Bishop. And I'm trying to look that up on Letterboxd, but I can't find it.
The actor's name?
Yeah, who played Bishop?
It was Lance Henriksen.
Is he still alive?
Lance Henriksen is alive, yeah.
Well then, maybe they could have gotten him back. But because Rook is essentially playing an antagonist, a villain, I think because Ash is the most famous villainous robot in the Alien franchise, I think that's why they decided to go with him.
Yeah, I can understand.
Plus Science Officer as well. Science Officer Rook, Science Officer Ash, you know. I think they just also want to call back. So I loved it. So I love that callback.
Do you want to jump into some flashbacks before we go any further?
Sure.
Laura, play that jingle first. Thank you, Laura. So, some flashbacks for Alien Romulus. Flashback number 1, director Fede Alvarez sought out the special effects crew from Aliens 1986 to work on the creatures. Physical sets, practical creatures, and miniatures were used wherever possible to help ground later VFX work.
Yeah, I heard he did that. I heard he made that approach.
I love that.
First of all, dude, you just told me they actually stuck something down her throat.
Yeah, that's true. I felt the whole set, the fact that they were moving around, it felt like a real physical space. Specifically,
like a space station.
When Navarro went, I think they were on their ship and they went down an elevator and then into another area. I was like, okay, I feel like I know the physical space they are in. Yeah, you know, it doesn't feel
it's like if the camera is on her in her chair, you still know what's behind her, as if you were standing there.
It's not like it feels like that elevator she stepped on, it went down and then she was on the next set. It wasn't like she just moved 20 feet over and she's on the next set.
Yeah, I like the entire set is together.
Exactly.
It's not a separate small spatial area where the camera is going to be faced directly. You know, I'm sure they'd want the freedom because this camera in this movie does a lot of following the characters, tracking them.
This is a little bonus here. The film was actually shot in chronological order. So fully, I guess, when a character died, that was them gone. Yeah, they weren't continuing on.
Like on a TV show when characters die and the table read, "Oh, where's that character? Oh,
they're away. They're gone." Flashback number 2. This is the first titled Alien movie in the franchise not to feature the eggs that incubate the facehuggers.
Yeah, well, we mentioned earlier, I think this movie does a lot of homages, but it does away with some things that we've done already. Yeah, you know, we've seen a lot of the same things before, and so they do away with the eggs, which was good because I think the setting of within the wall, waking up and then falling in the water, and then there having been loads of them as well. Because, you know, when you really think about it now, at this point, especially after seeing Alien Covenant, if you see a bunch of eggs, you have to wait for them to be intruded upon by the characters, and then you need them to open up, and then you need them to wiggle around a little, and then you need to pop out, and then you need to avoid them, and then you need to be complaining, why were you there in the first place? Why would you go near it? Why would you look in it?
We just didn't need that. We didn't need that again.
No. The characters didn't even know they were there until they started charging themselves at them. And wow. Here, your man Bjorn, who was bullying Andy, good on him for whipping them every time they charged at him. He baseballed them a few times.
And then flashback number 3, Alien Romulus is the first Alien film released after the Disney-Fox merger. It was initially scheduled to be a film released directly to streaming, much like 2022's Prey, the most recent addition to the Predator franchise.
Oh, well, the next Predator movie is not going to be a streaming release, I'll tell you that.
No, I think that for both Prey and Alien Romulus, these are great first swings from the Disney end.
Real franchise rejuvenators,
that's a great way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. Having the young cast, and then Prey especially. Prey is the first I might catch some flack for this. Prey is the first Predators movie I liked. I like the idea of the Predator, and I like the character of the Predator. I don't really like any of the Predator movies except for Prey.
Yeah.
So
that's okay.
It was, when I watched that, I was like, oh, this is class. Why isn't this in cinema? You know, it was obviously released kind of in that weird time where COVID was finishing up. It's moving away from that, but then also streamers were also getting big, so they wanted to have only available on Disney Plus, only available on Netflix.
Look, I didn't believe it was going to be successful, and it was a major success on streaming. So the next one, Dan Trachtenberg, who did Prey, he's doing a new Predator movie.
Good.
And it's called Badlands, and it's going to have Elle Fanning, and it's going to be set in the future.
Good. Excellent. So, I just want to see interesting settings with the Predator.
Yeah, and this, in this case, Alien Romulus, a new interesting setting, but a callback to a lot of things. And yeah, that's interesting. And I don't need a sequel. I would just like another Alien movie down the line, fit it somewhere. Hey, you threw that. Maybe I wouldn't like the Queen to be frozen in space and is retrieved somewhere. Maybe this is the perfect movie to use what was already established, but tell a completely original story with new characters.
Yeah,
characters who I first thought, really, all these young characters, what are we doing? A YA in an Alien franchise? No, it makes perfect sense why they're all of this age. And a real concise number, really, in the horror genre. So yeah, that was well done, Disney.
Yeah, good job.
But really well done, Fede Alvarez.
Well done, yes. And that brings an end to the flashback section. Laura, play us out of here.
So what did you think of the room where they had to walk through all the facehuggers? By the way, all practical.
Yeah, I noticed that when they were moving around, it looks, you know the way you can kind of tell if something is like maybe remote control or something like that? I could tell by the way they were moving, they were like shaking a little bit, that I was like, no, those are on set, those are real, they're not.
Those fucking tarantulas are standing next to... Right, by the way, this is when Andy has been given the new directive, and you know he could make some foul play here against the two characters, Tyler and Rain. They have to get to the Romulus side of the space station because they're currently in the Remus one.
I thought that would play into a bit more, but it didn't.
No, I guess this just falls under the banner where the title of an Alien movie is named after a station. But I like the title, Romulus. They mentioned it in... what else are you going to call it?
Yeah.
Alien Remus?
Yeah.
Romulus is better.
I like the scene, however, it unfortunately does fall into that moment where he answers the phone and it's his sister, and I'm like, oh, you idiot, like, you were literally told like 3 things, like, don't make a sound, don't sweat, and don't get goosebumps, and you know,
and don't raise your fear, because dude, we already established how fierce these things are in the scene with the water. Now you're gonna walk all the way through them and you have to be quiet. Okay, yeah. Do we want them to not have to run for their lives in this situation?
I do want them to do that, but I don't want stupid character decisions. I want something else to happen. I want it naturally to get out of their control. When
Fair,
it's literally
yeah.
something that's in his control of not picking up the fucking communicator.
Fair enough.
I understand he's concerned for his sister,
Yeah, yeah.
but like,
Oh, no,
just
I-
get to the end of the room.
I agree. Yeah, 100% agree. But I can nitpick, or can I just enjoy the experience?
Yeah.
Because I'm watching this scene, and I'm thinking, is Andy going to be neglectful and just allow one of these things to latch on to these so he can complete the work, which is what I'm assuming is the plan. But no, when the right moment comes, he's the one who tells them to run. And they run and do scattered up. They're like the bugs from the Mummy. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they're all scattered and they're huge. And I like
They fit around your whole face. They're huge things, yeah.
and I like how, because they're still attracted to heat, that Tyler still throws the flash to distract
flare,
them.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Man, I loved it. My jaw dropped in this scene as well.
I liked because you're not quite still sure of Andy's motivations and where he's like, because he closes the blast door and they barely make it through.
Yeah.
And they kind of give out to him and he goes, no, I calculated it perfectly so that that we would all get through. And you kind of nearly could take that as like did he do that? Did he calculate it? Or is he lying to, get to the next scene? And I'm like, like his motivations are very clearly like just still muddled. They're clearly muddled.
Yeah.
Of he's between the two still, of like his old programming and this new, because essentially once he gets the new programming, he's got a bit of Rook in him.
Yeah.
Because that was Rook's programming. So it's interesting. But yeah, no, I liked the scene.
I like how,
especially the flare, like you said there, like using his actual brains. I just wish he had used it earlier in the scene, to not answer the communicator.
So the other two characters, his sister, Kay, who's played by Isabel Merced, I want to talk about her at some point, and Bjorn, who is still alive. So the creature burst out of Navarro and in the result crashed the ship and put the space station off course to a much more closer countdown to impact. And I think this is the first time we've seen the alien itself, Cocoon, to enlarge.
I wanted to talk about this. I don't know if you noticed this, okay? But what Alien does really, really well, and it does in this, is it takes sexually graphic material and horrifies it. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the fuck?
Yeah, the Facehugger.
The Facehugger, right? That's an intrusive force coming down your throat.
Oh, that's rape.
It's rape, okay? When an alien bursts out of your chest, it is a very phallic image, isn't it? Like, it looks like, a penis. It does. Yeah.
I didn't think that.
No, but that's kind of generally known that the alien does look very phallic. And it, it takes sexual violence and puts it under a new lens. And I was like, seeing the Cocoon, I had all that kind of preconceived things in my head. Seeing the Cocoon, I was like, that looks like a vagina. That is crazy. And then he takes the electric stick and sticks it in it to electrocute it. I was like, once again, another
great decision.
It's a great decision by the character that will get it, but another depiction of rape, but without the sexually graphic content of seeing someone attacked in that way. I just thought it was really interesting that it plays on these sexually graphic images without it being sexually graphic.
When the head of the alien, and might I say, a big head, is pushing itself out of that,
it looks like a birth.
Yes, 100%. You're right. This movie, this franchise, especially this movie, does take sexually graphic imagery that we associate to humans and horrifies it in the most unnatural way possible.
Without...
Especially at the end.
Especially at the end. Yeah, no, we'll get to that. I want to talk about that at the end.
But without... What were you going to say? I interrupted you.
But without, like, showing, like, the most that you see is obviously the facehugger going on someone's face, but you don't see the sexually graphic things happen to...
Isn't it funny? Yeah, but that's because they were limited in practical effects and capabilities back in day. Now, in this day and age, they have more avenues they could explore to do something different, because it's not been done, because this is the newest period to create a movie, and they avail themselves to do more with it, Well, one other thing, sorry, just with the sexual graphic stuff, I don't want to linger on it too long, but as well with Prometheus,
that she Shaw has to perform a C-section on herself.
Yeah.
Because she's impregnated with the alien. You know, not impregnated with it, but there's a foreign body within her body. You know, I think it's an aspect of the Alien franchise that is not talked about a whole lot. But I don't want to say that I'm glad.
Is that the first time it's done in this franchise, in Prometheus? Is that the first time it's done?
What, the
birth, essentially, where a foreign life form inside a human, and they need to get it out. Is that the first time it's been done?
As far as I remember, now I could be wrong. I have only seen 3 and 4 once.
I've seen them a few times. I suppose there was that one scene where there was an alien inside the clone of Ripley in Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
There was that. So I suppose that's something of a setting established. But even then, when that happened in Prometheus, I didn't immediately think, okay, that is now a significant aspect in this franchise.
No, but it's something that we can talk about it now. We can look back on all these different things of like.
Well, it happens again.
Yeah, it does.
We'll get to that.
Keeps sizzling.
But I like that Bjorn, the bully, the dickhead, who we're not supposed to like, but I actually do like. I like all the characters. He's like, I like how he found Kay, and they both just embraced each other for a second because they're like family to one another. And he, and then he pushes her away, and he goes to try to kill the thing. And did nothing. And while I thought maybe his death was it's not the weakest. His death is the acid one. Acid pours on him.
I was glad to see it. I didn't think it was the weakest. I thought that, okay, we're actually doing something with the acid blood.
No, I don't think it's weak. I just think in terms of placing a character death, and each character death is different to the next. We got the chest burst after the face hug. Now we have the acid here. Great. He's just lying there. It's constantly dropping in him, and yeah, it's fucking acid. You're not gonna get up and immediately walk away.
What's going on? Yeah, he had a very limited reaction to his body burning.
A limited physical reaction. Like he just laid there covering his eye, and yeah, I know the alien stuck his tail in his eye. You're not gonna be thinking quickly. You're gonna panic. But maybe if he died standing than still lying down, maybe that would have been something. Because either way, he had to die there. That was the time for him to die. He had to do one last heroic thing of action and then die, because that's when the alien's being born out of that cocoon, out of that vagina. And then chase Kay. And Kay, played by Isabel Merced, I love that she has curly hair. I like Isabel Merced. She's popping up in a lot of things now.
She's going to be popping up soon again.
She was popping up. You can tell me one thing that she's popping up in, and I'll tell you another.
Well, I know that she's going to be popping up in The Last of Us Season 2 as Dina. Sorry. Dina.
She's playing Hawkgirl in Superman.
She is playing Hawkgirl in Superman. I forgot that. Yeah. I am looking forward to seeing her.
She was Dora the Explorer.
Yeah.
She was I Eat Math for
Math
breakfast.
Girl in Madam Web, yeah.
So and she was in the Transformers movie when she is in the. I love seeing her pop up, and I like how in this movie, how are you gonna make her different? To me, she's the second main villain actress in this movie, especially in terms of popularity. But she's got the long curly hair, and she's the one depicted as the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
She's essentially something similar to Ripley in the first Alien movie, even though Ripley took care of herself. Or Lambert, maybe.
Yeah, I would say Lambert more than Ripley.
You're right, Lambert.
I think Callie Spaney is a very clear...
Yes, but I would say a Ripley in Aliens as opposed to Ripley in
maybe
Alien.
So, yeah.
You know? But yeah, you're right, Lambert. This is definitely similar characteristics, because when that alien burst out of Navarro, a moment of silence, please, for the wailing scream she delivered. I just love that so much, because the blood just splat on her face. Ship's about to crash. She just watched this creature rip itself out of her friend's chest. What are you gonna do? I just loved how he timed it as well, because the music just the intense music just quietened down, and yeah, Just love that. And now she's on her own, being not chased, but hiding from the alien creature. And yes,
being stalked by it.
Stalked.
We see the alien is smart, and it's using her to get at the others as well, waiting for the door to be opened.
Because it takes the bodies away, and she's still finding her way. And after they had hop, skip, and a jump with the facehuggers, they then come across each other face to face with just a door in between, which is great. And in comes Andy, being very selective in what he wants to do. That fucking dick definitely had time to open the door.
He did, and for her to get in and close it again. Yeah, absolutely.
But the alien was still sitting up there, and yeah, maybe there is a part where he is right, but he's being a dick about it, and that's not because he's a robot. That's because he's got a bit of ruck in him. So when she got taken away, I thought, oh really, she dead? Because we focused on, like, we even had a single take of her going from the underneath the what are those things, the rattling floor that the alien was still at. I fucking hate not knowing words.
I don't know. I don't like the grated floor. And,
Yes, okay. Well, we just had a nice track and shot following her. Good job. I thought it was a little unsatisfying to have her perish then and there. Especially when we only have 3 characters left, and one of them is starting to look like a villain. So then we get to the next crux of it, where the callback to Prometheus. They're in the lab, and not only do we get the musical score of Prometheus, the goo, the black goo from Prometheus is reintroduced, and they get a Prometheus 5 ship was mentioned as well. Jaw drop. I never once thought that they would have established a connection to those two movies. Yeah, those two movies. Because that is a storyline that is not going to be furthered on, because that was Ridley Scott, and even though he's the man who started this franchise, he's not the man to continue it. Let others do that. And Fede Alvarez is a great man to do that. And what did you think of this connection? Did you really appreciate it, or did you like, yeah, well, that makes sense, of course? Or did you feel grateful to that it acknowledges it and it doesn't disregard it?
Yeah, exactly. The third one, it was a connection that I was like, oh, I didn't think that we would get this at all. Do you know, it's like you're not expecting it, so when it does pop up, you're like, oh, this is an added bonus.
Yeah.
You know, I like those, the Prometheus and Alien Covenant, so having them in any aspect is good. I would like to see that story concluded, the story with David.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we are.
No, we won't. It's one of those pie in the sky, like, I'd love for him to come back, but you also know that's not going to be the case. You're going to be moving on, you know, and with the success of this film, it's only the opening weekend there, but it's over 100 million.
It's already dethroned Deadpool and Wolverine now in this opening weekend.
There you go. So we're definitely going to see another one, whether that be with Fede Alvarez or not, will remain to be seen. But Disney will say, yes, the Alien franchise is a profitable one. Yeah. Like 1 week in, and they've already made their budget back. So it's
great.
It's good to see. It's good. It's good when a movie that you like does well.
Yes.
You know? It's good.
Hey, exactly. I just also like to say, you know, with Andy not knowing what his intentions are, he's definitely taken the goo with him. But it was Rain who spots that the alien's just hiding out there at the door, and so what does he do? Well, he's not going to charge them anyway and let those guys do it. No, he's going to give them weapons and let them charge up. So he's helping them, but only to still serve the interests of the company. You know, because he didn't close the door on them, and he's not actively trying to get them to have facehuggers on them. It was the goo that was
his prime directive.
Yeah. And so when they went to the next room area, it revealed, oh, there's loads of aliens.
See, this is what I wanted to talk about earlier, right?
Right. This is the room now where when an alien kid takes you, it
implants you in the wall, and you're now kind of a breeding machine.
It would have been nice to, you know, we see now this movie established how an alien grows from the baby it is, but it doesn't show you how it implants you into a wall? Does it use its saliva to do that? Where does that shit come from? I
don't know. Yeah.
And it's not something I want to know in the movie, because it's like it's like a situation where when a person kidnaps someone else, a child or a damsel in distress, okay, now I'm going to tie you up. And we're going to see that process of them tying them up. Okay, sit in that chair and don't move, because I need 2 arms to tie you up, so don't take my weapon that I'm holding you for. You know, it's like one of those situations.
Like how you never see a character eat or go to the toilet on a TV show. Yeah, you just assume that these things happen. Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
What I was talking about earlier with why I wanted to see more of a cast for them to die is because when we go through that whole sequence and they get your man's sister back, and then
which was great, because when we thought she died, she's being reintroduced again. So now we're back to 4 characters, you know.
But when he gets taken, and then he's taken up into the thing, and then he sees all the other aliens come in. I'm like, okay, so there were all these other aliens the whole time. What I thought would have been really good, have a bigger crew and have each of them be picked off one by one. But what we don't realize is that there are multiple aliens on the ship. That we would think, oh, this is the same alien getting them all. No, but there's multiple. So I just think that it was just all of a sudden there were loads of them. We never really got a
how
hint.
is the alien finding us so easily? Well, because there's more than one.
There's more than one. I thought that having so many of them, all it really did kind of was service the shootout scene, and because they were dispatched so easily, they were just gone. Now, that being said, I thought that scene was really good, and I quite liked the whole zero gravity element of it, with the acid blood floating around the room and them having to navigate that. And I was like, that's really interesting. That's really something cool, and it's using an element of the alien. Like, we can all be scared of the alien with its long claws and its teeth and its little mouth that comes out, but its acid blood is just as dangerous as any other part of it. So using that aspect, I mean, was this the first time that the blood killed a character? The blood alone? Because that's what got Bjorn.
Yes, so kinda, if you don't want to include AVP.
I don't want to include AVP. So this was a good, like, using an aspect of the alien as just as dangerous as the alien itself.
Because normally when the acid is used thus far as a splatter from shooting at close range. Drake from Aliens had that. He shot the shit of an alien and the residue splattered on him. Or it leaks through a ship.
Yeah, and out into space,
And we actually get this in this movie. Literally those two, you know, Bjorn and later on. But I want to go back to Tyler after he jumped in the way of Rain getting the tail in him. That reminded me a little bit of the Predator getting the tail in him in AVP. And it brings him up. I like that. I wanted to know what it was going to do there, because Tyler's facing off with the most dangerous and frightening life form ever. And then he looks over and he sees a swarm coming. That reminded me of the events in Aliens as well. Maybe I would have liked him to whip out one hand that gun and just shoot as many as they
go out fighting.
Go really, because dude, he was a soldier. It's established that he served and he knows the weapons. I would have liked that, because it looked like he was going to do that, but nah, they all just attacked him. So, and in that moment, Andy has because he's still an old model, so he still twitches, and so much has happened now that Rain takes Kay out. Like, she leaves them both essentially, even though your man's dead up there. She leaves her brother essentially, and I thought, I not for one second thought she was going to go back for him, because
no, neither did I. I thought that she kind of wrote him off. That he's not Andy.
She already slapped him. Remember that? And it hurt her hand, I think, and he didn't feel a thing, because not because he's a robot. It doesn't emotionally impact him. So I did not for one second believe that she would still be the good person she is to go back for this machine that does not convey love or emotion. And she does switch it out of him. And that's when the zero gravity scene happens. And then we have our fulfillment of what action in an alien movie does. You know, just riddle them with bullets, which is nice with the 0G, because Rook is still there, not letting them through. And Kay has gone up now. I suppose it is a stupid character decision for her to take that needle, the black goo, but I suppose because she saw that they were going to give it to her, maybe she thought. But if I was in that situation, I sure as shit wouldn't do that. So yeah, it's a poor character decision. Will I take half a star off of that because of that? I don't know.
I think it's a poor character decision, but if you wanted to justify it, she's not only thinking about herself, she's thinking about her baby as well. It's not just one life, it's two lives. She is trying to see it as, I'm going to die anyway. If I take this, I have a better chance. I have the possibility of a better chance. I think that's what she was fearful of, because she wouldn't have been able to, if she had gotten back to the ship, the autopilot would have gotten her, but she might have died on the way back. You know? So I can...
And Rook was going to offer that. And bastard, saying that your friends died heroically, I can take you back. And I like... she's not going to go back for Rain. And
she can't. She physically can't.
No. So I actually really had no idea how they were going to get themselves out of that situation. I had no clue. And then when he started making his jokes and about the gravity... Because they foreshadowed it throughout the movie that it was an issue, and so that's when it happened, and she shot the shit out of them all, and they all ran away. That's another interesting thing, that they're so smart. They know when they can approach a character, a human, when they have a gun firing at them, because they'll die. Because some of them ran away, and then it was a great scene with the 0G. I actually thought Andy was gonna get splattered, but it was good, and she shot some of the remaining bullets to get her down. It was tense,
using it as momentum. I like that too.
It was really tense. And then they go up to the elevator to escape, and I really went, oh no, when she shot the alien that had grabbed her, and the cage just completely opened. Like, that's how emotionally invested I was in this movie, because I was just in it, you know. I really was in it.
Survive.
I want them to survive, and even though I want the action to happen, I don't want them to get hurt. And yeah, if you've seen the movie, the nice heroic act with the elevator, and how Andy saves Rain, and he has the line, of which I did not expect. You know, get away from her, you bitch.
He really struggles to say that. He's like, I'm gonna be a badass here. He's like, you bitch. You know.
I do like that, and if someone says that they don't like that, well then, you've got a laundry list of movies that repeats lines in same manners, because you can't hate that and not hate the rest. So it was good. That was good, because she shot all the... Because she was faced off with an alien and a facehugger. I thought Andy was going to jump down and die in this situation, but no, he escapes. They make it back to the ship, and... what I really liked in this moment, when Rook says, I'm so glad you made it back. That's such a robot thing to do. You intentionally...
I'm so glad you both made it. No, he's hiding his true intentions.
But is he? Because he intentionally let them there to die. But, they made it. Great. Because when they changed it from autopilot to manual, it says, change of plan, we're going to where we want to go, to the home planet that's 9 years away. The MacGuffin of the entire movie, the purpose they're on that ship. He says, what are you doing? Andy, stop her, thinking he'd actually still do it. She turns the computer off, and that last shot, that last moment with Rook, where he says, now you listen to me, you two are two insignificant beings in the greater scheme of things. He's saying this while the space station is about to impact, and he says, no, the guy had a heart. He really wanted to put forth his mission, even when he was nearly a corpse.
Yeah.
I really, I felt that. I felt that villain defeat.
What I like about the androids is that they aren't binary. They're not ones and zeros. They're not like an unfeeling robot. They have their own thoughts and emotions, and they have their prime directives, but they still have their own wants.
Yes, because he is choosing a specific amoral way to propel human in space travel.
Yeah.
In a very unattractive way to
create the perfect life form.
He's making choices for humanity that thinks is best, because he tells Andy at the very start humans were not meant for space travel. They're not capable of surviving these adventures into space. That's why. So he's doing this for the great of humanity. But it's definitely a fucking thing David would do. Michael Fassbender's David.
Yeah.
But he's serving himself entirely. So I like that. And then there's 20 minutes left.
Yeah, I when they got off and they're flying off,
and the space,
people were getting up to go toilet, and I was like, what he's doing? Like, it's the finale. And I was like, oh no, wait, okay, there's going to be more. I guess we're continuing going. There's more. I was surprised by this. But
I was really surprised. I can't remember the last time a movie kept going.
Yeah.
When I really believed we're hitting the end. Because she has Kay in the sleeping pod. Yeah, good night. I knew she took the thing, but
you kind of nearly forget that. You just, she's...
Whether I forgot it or whether I just think they're just going to leave it at that. Like,
yeah, that'll be the next film. That
if
something else.
If they wanted to do that. It wasn't gonna make or break the movie for me. But then she starts giving birth, right? And she gave birth to this little cocoon. And I thought it was going to end like on a cliffhanger. A bit of a cheesy shit way. Like a real lower tier expectation that, remember when horror movies used to end on a real fright, shock moment like that?
Yeah.
Because she already had her moment with Andy saying, new directive, do what's best for us. How is that not preparing yourself to leave when the movie's over?
Oh, absolutely. We're heading towards the end. Credits are about to roll. Oh no, wait, guess what? We have one more monster. We've one more monster. And I have to say, this was probably the creepiest thing I've ever experienced in the Alien films. It, in the same way that you said earlier that your jaw dropped, this had a shiver up my spine. I was like, oh, this is so freaky. I hate this so much. When she takes the cocoon out, and the acid blood is still there, I'm like, oh, okay, so something's not right. Something's not right anyway.
Yeah.
And then when it opens up and the baby is in there, and you're like, okay, it's a baby. Okay, interesting. And then all of a sudden it's an adult, and I saw the actor who plays him, and his proportions are unnatural.
So he's quite tall.
He's very, very tall, but just the way that this thing moved, it was horrific. Is the only way I can describe it. It was horrific. And what was even worse for me is when it goes back to Kay, and Kay is like all freaked out about it, but it's just a baby. It just has the mind of a baby.
Yeah.
It's seeking out its mother, and it's like it's not going to do any harm to her until she pushes it away. And that's when he attacks her, because it's just looking for its mother. It's a baby. It's a baby's mind. Oh man, it was so freaky. It was so freaky.
I like how, all the way through this movie, right? And even in the entire franchise, the robot is never in danger. The robot, Bishop was ripped in half, but that was just something there. David got his head ripped off, but the engineer was a smart alien creature, right? I like, because in this movie, right, Andy is always ahead of him, running ahead to run the doors. He's not in danger at the Facehuggers. Facehuggers never went to him when they first woke up. And then when Andy was twitching, in the end, when Tyler was killed, the alien was hovering over him. And it did nothing to him, because it's not real.
It's almost like they can't register it.
Yeah.
The aliens themselves. Because like a facehugger never goes for a
robot. No.
It's like they know.
It never went for him. Never. And so it's kind of funny. It's like they have a superpower to these robots.
They're invisible to them, yeah.
Yeah. They're like a microwave to them. So I like how Andy got his neck literally sliced open to the point where, guess he's fucked. because I thought this movie was going to end with 3 survivors, which I would have liked. I did not want Kate to die.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want her. I didn't want to see Isabel Merced die. I didn't want that. I wish she survived, but okay, you're gonna give that shock. But I like how Rain is ready in her final battle gear.
The suit, yeah.
No, the top and undies.
Oh, sorry, yeah. The classic,
Classic.
About to go into cryo sleep, yeah.
Yeah, and then one last showdown. But yeah, she does go into the... Yeah, by the way, this is her after watching the alien suck the life out of Kay. She runs back to grab Andy to bring him, and she can't pull him. And then this thing, right, catching up to her, creeping up to her, she leaves Andy, and she locks herself in the room that's gonna start freezing. I'm going, are you gonna cut the black any second here? Because how are you going to end this movie? But it did not feel like there's 20 minutes still left. Like, I did not expect this to... But there is precedent for this. The first Alien did it. And Aliens did it. We should have expected a final showdown with this. But we didn't.
No, not at all.
It really pulled the rug under us.
I had, the elevator scene and Andy coming down and killing the alien. That, in my head, was the final showdown. Because they had the shooting gallery scene before, and then you get kind of the alien that we've been following from the start, because
it was electrocuting. It was still showing electricity in its head, because when Bjorn fried it,
so you know that's the one that's been following, so you kind of assume that's the final showdown. But this was like, we're just going to give you something extra, and it's going to be the freakiest thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Fucking extra. Right, one thing that was creepy was the reveal. Remember when Andy went over to close the door and he saw Kay, and Kay touched herself and she was exuding goo, and then she looks at it, but Andy's still looking at her, and then he turns to look over, and then wide shot.
Oh,
it's just sitting there, and it's fucking huge. And then the next fucked up shot was when Rain was backed up against the door, and funny how it's always been a flamethrower gun. This time it's one that shoots ice.
I think it was the fuel from the for the cryo.
Yeah, that's right. So that's interesting. Something that we've seen before, but new. That's how legacy sequels do it these days, and this is. This does sort of serve as a legacy sequel. It's a sequel to the Alien.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I'm trying to say is when she's backed up against the wall, right, and there's a wide shot of her,
the walkway above her, is it?
No, and the alien standing looking at her. That's when you see the height. The dude is like 10 feet tall.
Yeah, literally.
He like is fucking huge. And I like how she shoots him out to space, and maybe 30 years from now we'll get another story where that thing...
No, that thing's dead. That thing's dead.
That thing...
Don't let that live.
Let me ask you this. What did you think about the design? And the fact that there's this new type of alien design in this franchise?
As I said, it's the freakiest thing in the movie, and
it reminisced to the engineer from Prometheus.
It did, yeah. It's like when Rook was like trying to create the perfect life form, a mix between the xenomorph and human. Like, yeah, this is what they were going for. They're trying to create the space jockey, the precursors, those things again, and they just come across as, the only way to describe it is it's an abomination.
Oh yeah,
it shouldn't ever have been.
Yeah, I was thinking abomination. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, die, motherfucker. Yeah, that's literally what she said when she shot it out. But I really did think she was going to die when she was freezing to death.
Yeah,
I thought this movie was going to end in such a downer way, but
of all of them gone, I thought so too. Yeah,
but no, she shot him out. Well, that was quite the adventure. And I like how she put Andy to sleep and he's still alive. It reminded me of Ripley putting Bishop and Hicks to... Is it Hicks or Hudson? Hicks
Yeah.
to sleep before she and Luke goes to sleep, and final call log as normal. And realistically, even though the franchise continues another 60 years with Ripley and whoever else, this does feel very logical that these characters and the survivors come across this event that in the grand scheme of things is minor, that nothing comes of it. The creatures and aliens in this movie from start to end are of no consequence of the greater timeline in the other movies, essentially.
Yeah, it doesn't interrupt anything. It doesn't get in the way or contradict anything.
Yes, and it's a perfect... sits nice perfectly within its own position of the franchise in chronological order, and it now stands shoulder to shoulder with Alien and Aliens. It's perfect. And the experience I got is 5 stars.
Good. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that this is a welcome addition to the Alien franchise for you.
Who do you think gave the best performance?
I think Andy. I
think David Johnson did deliver the best performance as Andy. Yeah, I think he stole the show in many ways for having to do little. Always because he never raises his voice.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, I think that the way he starts and the way he ends, even though he goes back to how he is in the beginning, like obviously he's different in the middle.
Yeah.
But the way he ends is also different than how he started. I think that his whole time, and realistically, this takes place over the course of a day for all these characters. This is short time period. So
and I can't remember the last time we have characters on foot in civilization, even though it's in a mining colony. I just appreciate everything Fede Alvarez took the time to set up. Like, I would have gladly seen more time on the world to get to know the characters, especially if it would have been a bigger cast. But I'm happy with the numbers of characters in this movie. Because of the story they tell, I don't think there would have been time for more characters to be picked off, because that's what it would have felt like eventually, to be picked off one by one. I think they would have had to restructure the story for that to happen, where so many characters are getting killed by what we assume is one alien. But it's not. And, I think that serves the boat, because, when one of these things takes out your entire crew, what happens when a load of them are there? And this is the best of both. We assume it's just one, but then there's a load of more revealed. But, you did say that it is taken out quite quickly, but of no near consequence. But the makes for a good sequence, I think. I really liked David Johnson as Andy, but I really did like Isabel Merced in this movie as well. And I thought Callie Spaney did a great job. She's perfect for a surrogate of Sigourney Weaver in the franchise she led. And they tried to do that with Catherine Watterson and Alien Covenant, and I suppose you can throw Naomi Rapace in that as well. But I think she's the next best one.
Yeah, and she would be a great adult Ellie in The Last of Us Season 2.
Isabel Merced?
No, Callie Spaney. Adult Ellie.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah, I really did think so.
Do you think maybe they should have casted her maybe from the get-go?
Yeah, I really like Bella Ramsey. But
so do I.
I think Callie Spaney would be a great adult Ellie specifically. But then again, she could also be aged down. Like, you could make someone look younger and then have them play their actual age. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to let these people go. Before we do that, though, have you got a recommendation for us before
I do
we sign off?
I do.
Go on.
I'm gonna want to recommend a book.
A book? Brilliant. Excellent. Go for it.
The Lost Fleet Dauntless.
Okay. I've not heard of this. This is one you picked up recently in your travels.
Oh yeah, I walked into a bookshop. Felt like watching. Felt like reading a sci-fi book, science fiction. Was gonna read one that I scrolled through a Google search of what are good science fiction books that are undiscovered, essentially. No movie media,
no adaptations.
Yeah, exactly. No adaptations. So the one I wanted wasn't there, so I came across this that was there, and The Lost Fleet. I read the back of it, checked out some reviews. Got it. It's 350 pages long. I read 250 pages so far when I was away on holiday. And it's about Captain Blackjack Geary.
Okay, real pirate name, yeah.
But he's not a pirate. He's a former captain. Well, he's captain now, but he was in hibernation for over 100 years after presumably died in battle.
Okay.
So when he wakes up, like, the final battle was just yesterday, but 100 years has passed, and he's now been rescued and reawoken by the new generations of the fleet that he's in. And the book starts with that already happened.
Okay.
It's already happened. So he's in his room already, and he's already in the middle of the conflict of the war that he's still fighting with. And now, because he's now in a position where he has to command the fleet that he's in, and he has to bring them home. And so he's got to do that while not getting them killed. So he's got to do that by pulling some maneuvers in, going hyper flight speed, jumping through space, to not get caught at the jump point they land on. So it's really, do you know in The Last Jedi, that sequence where they escape the start of that battle and they're just pretty much drifting. It's something similar to that, but they're not drifting. They're like jumping from
point to point
to point in a star system.
I get you, yeah.
And they have to decide where to go next and why they go there next, so they don't jump into a trap.
Okay.
So I've got 100 pages left, and I really, really like it. And I suppose now this will be a book that I've read that I would like to see an adaptation of.
We'll go back and redo
that. Oh yeah,
episode.
we're already thinking of James Badgedale to play the character.
Okay, good. I'm going to recommend two things. I'm going to recommend something we talked about earlier, Prey, which is the
we know what it is.
The reinvigoration of the Predator franchise.
It is.
It's very good. It's on Disney Plus, so make sure you can check it out there. And also on Disney Plus, the new season of Futurama has come out there. I think episode 3 came out there today in time when we're recording this.
I think it's 4 now.
3, 4. It could be 4.
Yeah, I think it's episode 4.
But new season of Futurama. Always good.
Futurama is better than The Simpsons.
Full stop. End of story. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for hosting.
No worries.
Thanks for indulging me. This was
no worries, man. This was fun. This is good. I'm glad that you enjoyed Alien Romulus so much.
This is one of my favorite movies of this year.
Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing your top 10 at the end of the year then. But yeah, make sure to, if you're not subscribed, to subscribe to us. We are available on all podcasting platforms. We're also available on YouTube. Make sure to follow us on all of our links down below. We're on all social medias. So make sure to never miss an episode. New episodes every single Wednesday, as well as bonus episodes every other weekend. Brian, any final words?
Nope.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.